Colonel Andriy Lysenko, National Security and Defense Council Information Center spokesman. Colonel, the floor is yours. Good day, dear colleagues. Our situation in NATO is still complicated, and the ceasefire agreement accords are being violated by the combatants of the terrorist republics. They use the mortars, firearms, sometimes armored vehicles, number of artillery, cases of the shelling are going down. None of the military officers of Ukrainian forces was killed. 7 were wounded. The biggest number of fighting at the Baltsevo and Shastia. Defenders of Donetsk airport repelled another attack of terrorists, and they are still holding that strategic facility. Officers of the National Guard also repelled the attempt of the Russian mercenaries to surround the road post at Volhyrsky-Nakiv municipality in Luhansk Oblast at Horodisha Nizhebranka, where we, as we announced in September and October, on the mines, the border details would have explosions and some agricultural machinery was destroyed. They cleared that territory of mine, removing 3 landmines and 3 special stream mines. There was no combat engagement in that area. At Mariupol, the border with the temporarily occupied Crimea, another time there was surveillance drone of the Russian forces identified Mariupol's decision as calm. The National Guard of Ukraine, the Security Service of Ukraine, other units are doing policing, and that is focused on identification of subversive groups in the territory of the Russian troops. Federation, they continue to supply Luhansk Oblast, Luhansk with mercenary, about 40 buses with terrorists. Yesterday, from the territory of the Russian Federation, at Uspenka, Donetsk Oblast, a convoy of military vehicles, about 30 of them, passed Komsomolsk, and the convoy is being put to surveillance mission overseas. Is not without fool. Daniel Bayer, ambassador of the U.S. at OSCE, called upon Russia to start talks on monitor of the border according to Minsk Accords and creation of buffer area. In Donbass, surveillance drones from Germany can be used as an element of reinforced control means, according to Angela Merkel. According to her, Berlin is having talks with OSCE on the drones. Yesterday at 2010, at one of the road posts not far from Stanislav Luhansk, 2 Ukrainian citizens were apprehended with maps of deployment of Ukrainian road posts in Luhansk and their mode of operation details. They were apprehended by counterintelligence for investigative activities in order to improve interplay with the armed forces and the police. The decision was made to include Regiment Azov in the composition of the National Guard. That will improve the system of training and utilization of volunteer battalions. That regiment will be equipped with specialists who will arrange command and control the cause of combat. Now they have special experts over last day in the area of the tomb. The three tanks, seven armored vehicles, and for personal carriers and two armored kills and one artillery system were repaired. Yesterday at 1830 to 3 in the morning, terrorists conducted shelling Krybyshev district in Donetsk. Many flats are without gas now, and the Ionov Street, number 18, was hit in Lenin district. In Donetsk, three civilian residents and were killed and five wounded. Donetsk Oblast, because of shellings of illegal militia, the pumping station for the water facility was cut off. So Chervonoarmeysk and Dolsk filter station are without electric power, and 60 other communities, partially Marinka, Shakhtarsk, Korlivka, and Sanovata. Yesterday, terrorists shelled from tanks and mortars at hidden power plant in Shastia. There was a fire because of the direct impact of a mine. While the fire was extinguished, the firing continued, and there were 10 cut-offs of electric power. Partially, electric power disappeared in Severodonetsk, Rubizhne, Lysenko, and also problems with the electric power supplies were in Bzovtin-Alchevsk, Perevaz, Pilokino, and fully disappeared in Milovsky, Belovodsk, and Novopskovsk district. There were problems with mobile communication. Shell and firing of terrorists directed at civilian residents, especially danger of the situation may become in winter season. In Severodonetsk, Luhansk Oblast, paratechnical units of the state emergency service found some clandestine hiding places. So they identified about 20 tons of powder, anti-tank grenades, grenades, 32 mortar mines, and 2 artillery shells, and also yesterday the technical units of the State Service for Emergencies cleared 491 units of armaments and explosive devices. They also cleared territory with the area of 5.1 hectare. In general, on the 6th of July 2014, they identified since the 6th of July 2014, they seized 22,532 units of armament. They checked explosives in 157 administrative buildings and other buildings, and they checked territory with the general area of 1,385.6 hectare, and also water area with the at 37.5 hectares. Continuous ecological assistance to the population in the east of Ukraine, and they provide assistance to people in Donetsk Oblast 55,702 people, and Luhansk Oblast 28,055 25 people for temporary temporary displaced people. They provided 15,000 places for temporary residence for people who fled from the ATO area. For coordination of emergency activities, we would like to remind you this is 101, the hotline. You can call for free from a mobile set or another stuff from Brussels, support and position team from having no grounds for the self-appointed election at the beginning of November under control of terrorists. That was in the statement of Paul Glickman at the meeting with Commissioner Stefan Füle. At that meeting, they emphasized that the key elements for settlements are remove all the troops and heavy machinery, effective control of the border, release of all hostages. Based on the result of 3 days of in Ukraine, Victoria Nuland announced that all the international sanctions against Russia should stay in force till the moment when all the troops and armaments are removed from Ukraine and all the hostages are released. Daniel Bayer announced that Russia is still ignoring Minsk Accords, holding Ukrainian military officers in the Savchenko and film director Alexei Selov. Daniel Bayer also announced that it's about time for the Russian authorities and terrorists supported by them to comply with the Minsk Accords and immediately let OECD monitors conclude their mission. Execute their mission. Thank you. Malika, Business Inform. Mr. Moskal announced that the battalions Kiev 2 and the mixed battalions they deserted from Luhansk. Who is lying? This information is not in compliance. Is not true, basically. And there's this necessity to replace or redeploy units deployed in the ATO area. This is the plans and process, and it has nothing to do with the deserting. Wall Street Journal, Nikolai Shitko, Germany provided application for accepted application for the additional drones, but they want to escort such drones with their own surveillance team. So, how can Ukrainian forces or Ukrainian specialists participate in that arrangement? What's the progress between France and Germany and EU on the other side? And drones, surveillance drones for monitoring of the security buffer zone. This is the prerogative of those OSCE monitors that are deployed in that area. So there will be people who will control such drones. So no escort was mentioned in our talks. Two questions about Mariupol. We have this video on YouTube. Somebody with a machine gun walking around, sticking around, and making people get off their cars. What's the crime rate there in Mariupol and around Mariupol? In the environments, there are police units, the Ministry of Defense units deployed and policing the area. There are no specific violations identified. So what's that video and who is that person? Let's watch the video. Maybe it's out of date.
Second question. Your former colleague, Mr. Parubi, stated that removal of Ukrainian forces 15 kilometers back will cause new attacks by terrorists. They will try take over the freed cities and towns, and it will cause many grave results. According to Minsk agreement of 5th of September and 19th of September, a 15-kilometer zone removal will be only for heavy artillery more than 100 millimeters. Armed forces and law enforcement located on the line of demarcation would remain. They will just be armed with light weapons. We're talking about removal only for heavy equipment, more than 100 millimeters. If this heavy equipment is removed, will not provoke terrorists to new attacks. The Ukrainian removal of heavy military equipment would be done only simultaneously with terrorists' removal. When we see that is happening, because they're the first ones to open fire, when we see their removal, then Ukrainian side will mirror those actions. We have already prepared new platforms for positioning new equipment. When they do that, we'll do the same. More questions, colleagues? There are more questions. Radio. Many people are talking about inefficient activities of OSC in Ukraine. There is information about them controlling only 1 kilometer of the border, what distance they should control, and if they're working non-efficiently, what are they doing there? Today, in the east of Ukraine, there are certain representatives OSCE with a mission. By insistence of the President of Ukraine, this number should be increased because territories are big. Their efficiency would be improved by introducing drones that would be given into their operation. Yes, really, the number that is at the territory of Ukraine today is insufficient and does not allow them to control the length of Russian to Ukrainian border. We expect their increase in numbers and improvement in activity. Last question. This humanitarian convoy that has come from Russia a week ago, nobody's talking about it. Where are these trucks? Because there is some information that terrorists are taking out of Lugansk and Donetsk regions. They're removing coal and other equipment. Are they using those trucks? We have information that they're taking coal and other resources out, but we have no information that they're using those humanitarian